Wait.
I've got to wait for it coming live because don't forget it's a few seconds behind
Aye.
by the time it gets to America. And Biden looks at it and then he throws it back to him and cleverly. And cleverly looks at it and eventually they go, all right, fine, let it go. Yeah, we're on.
And refresh. And that's Facebook public and all.
Yeah, good.
So good afternoon, David.
Afternoon, Dave. How you doing?
Not bad yourself.
Oh, all right, since I spoke to you about, 10 minutes ago.
I was a wee bit high about 10 minutes ago. Change these. Quick change for the fancy ones to the reading ones.
That's the one thing I can't stand wearing. Every now and then these things, I'm going to take them out.
Aye.
Would give them a day or 2 days to recover from using the lenses, and then put them back on again. But in the meantime, I've got to use glasses, and I can't stand them.
Right, this weekend, folks, is the Indie Cafe's charity night in Musselburgh. If you go to the Indie 2 Cafe Facebook page, you'll get the details there. Come along.
Yeah, now, one thing I have to say to all the Indie Cafe people, I'll not be there this weekend. It's like I couldn't possibly do a slosh, even in an invalid scooter. It's just not happening. I can't get to the place. Getting up to this cabin and getting back down again takes me ages.
Hi, John. Hi, Maggie, Rosie, Nancy, John Oxford Senior.
The one thing I'm upset about isn't it wee Scribbles do this weekend?
I don't know. Was it no Thursday or something?
Aye, it's like I can't go. It's just impossible. At the moment, I've got to suck it up.
Right, we've got a full house already, David. 117 on the scoreboard, so I guess we better kick this one off.
Right, fair enough.
Two Davies for the 2nd of the 11th, 2023. And number one, David, is Stushy over WhatsApp messages.
Oh, hell, I was just on to Nicola Sturgeon about by WhatsApp. And she just responded back to me. Was she fuck? We've had the Cuckoos in the Nest and also the Unionist BBC throwing things at Nicola Sturgeon saying, where's your WhatsApp messages, hen? That's wrong.
But no, just talk. A press story. This is a cracker. This is how propaganda is generated, folks. Here's a wee lesson of how propaganda works for you, right? Press run story saying Whom's a Yusuf deleted all his WhatsApp messages, right? And same and all with the First Minister, right? So let me give you a wee bit of insight into this, folks, before I put up what Nicola has to say. February 2021, there was new guidelines put in place for Scottish Government members of the Scottish Parliament and for ministers. And
hang on, was that by Nicola Sturgeon or anybody like that?
No, it's done by the Management Committee of the Parliament.
Right.
They're the ones that set the standing orders for the Parliament, right? So just so you know, folks, prior to February 2021, ministers who were using social media to conduct business had to have the information for those social media communications onto the official record within 30 days. New standing orders were introduced in February 2021, which states that members of the Scottish Parliament and ministers using social media communications to conduct parliamentary business had to have the contents of these messages on the official channels and official emails, so on and so forth, within 30 days, and then they have to, by standing orders, you can look this one up, they then have to delete the social media messages.
I think if you look at what would happen, right? You would have a situation where people would that did respond on WhatsApp at some point. It would still be coming back onto their handset, onto their phone as a WhatsApp message. If you delete that stream, that thread, then effectively you cut off that, right?
But here's the thing: the standing orders say that MSPs and government ministers who are using social media for communications have to have their communications put onto proper communication channels like official emails and official records within 30 days, and then they have to delete the messages from social media. I'm assuming it's for security reasons.
Yeah.
I can't see any other reason for it. But that's the standing orders along in the Parliament. So what we're seeing this circus for the cuckoos in the nest right now, they know fine well what the standing orders is. But now, when we last spoke about this on Monday, I stated that Nicola Sturgeon had said on her daily briefings when asked about WhatsApp messages that she did not conduct COVID business or government business by WhatsApp messaging. By WhatsApp, that's what she stated at the time. Right? I've got it in my iPads, as you know, David.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But of course, the press went after her yesterday, asking her about WhatsApp messages. So let's just see what she had to say. And by the way, she just reiterated what she said prior to it. And we're hearing that she deleted her WhatsApp messages. Let's hear what the previous First Minister has to say for herself, shall we?
I understand that given the volume and the content of some of the messages from the UK government, there's an assumption that we all worked like that. I did not manage the COVID response by WhatsApp. For example, I was not a member of any WhatsApp groups. I managed the COVID response from my office in St Andrew's House from early morning to late at night, face-to-face meetings with those that were there, Zoom calls, team calls, and of course I stood up every day and I set out to the public the basis of our decisions and why we were taking certain decisions. I will set out in full to the inquiry how I operated, what I hold, what I don't hold and the reasons for that, but I am satisfied I handled information in line with the policies that you've heard the Deputy First
Having promised you open to the charge of cover-up, doesn't it?
Look, I gave my all to the management of the pandemic. Transparency for the families affected, by everybody affected by the pandemic, matters really a lot to me. I did my best every day, as you heard me say many times over the course of the pandemic. I did not get everything right, but I did my best, and I want the process of these inquiries to get to the heart of what happened, the things that governments got right, the things that governments and leaders like me didn't get right. You've heard already the volume of documents that the Scottish Government has provided, and I would expect to be giving evidence again to the UK inquiry early in the new year, although that's for the inquiry to confirm, and I will answer all questions that are put to me. Transparency matters to me in this.
Yeah,
Cillian strolling as usual. Like Cillian, there's no getting away from this, Cillian. She looks terrified. Something is up. She looks bloody annoyed. She looks bloody annoyed, Cillian, because she'd already explained during the COVID crisis that she wasn't managing it by WhatsApp.
I think that's a case of somebody seeing what they want to see.
Aye.
Right? I've got, my allegiance now is to Humza Yousaf. Nicola did a bit, and thank you, Nicola, but the answer, she wasn't terrified.
To be honest with you, David, you know me, I'm no enamoured with politicians at all.
Yeah.
I'm not enamoured with political parties at all. I remember the SNP to get to it as a means to an end.
Yeah.
But she doesn't look, she knew what was coming. She knew you were going to get that BBC hack jump in and say, that leaves you open to conspiracy theories. There isn't any conspiracy there. When she was asked about this on her daily briefings, she made it clear she wasn't conducting her business, COVID business, through WhatsApp. Now, what she has said she will hand over is personal one-to-one WhatsApp communications. because sometimes people did contact her that way and talk to her that way. But she's got nothing to hide, according to what we're being told by the Deputy First Minister, who told us yesterday in a statement to the Parliament that her personal communications will be handed over.
Yeah. Do you not think that after the forensic tent in her front garden and everybody poring over every square millimetre of things that she's got, if there are any hidden WhatsApp messages, do you not think that they would be coming out the door and go, she had all this and all that and all that? They haven't. They haven't. There's nothing there.
That's another interesting thing, because they took her computer and they took her phone off her.
Yeah, correct.
They took Peter's computer and phone. So the police had already been through all that.
And they've still got them.
So, I mean, this Tushy her WhatsApp messages, as you've just heard the previous First Minister say, unlike the Muppets down the road, she didn't use WhatsApp for running the COVID crisis.
Yeah.
She did it, as she said, through Zooms, through Teams, and through official communications from her office at St Andrew's House.
I mean, down in the House of Commons, even the Mr. Speaker down that road, he is a blooming hairy fit every time the Tories announce new policy on the telly. Yeah? So they're not just using WhatsApp, they're using BBC and Sky News and all the rest of it to announce stuff coming up. And it should be announced in the House of Commons. End of. It's down to people's seriousness about doing their job. The Tories are not serious about anything they do. So therefore, they'll just get away with anything they can. You know, my goodness me, writing stuff in the back of a fag packet, for goodness sake.
What we are seeing here is,
you know,
we're seeing opportunists
who
are out of the office,
being
able to rattle the SNP, or try to rattle the SNP through the media outlets, because let's face it, down that road they're being shown up as a bloody embarrassment with WhatsApp messages.
Yeah.
Whereas, as we know, because I've got it in my journals, the very day that she said it, the very day she was questioned about it, it was Glenn Campbell that asked her, actually. After Boris had announced that there would be a COVID inquiry, she was asked about this.
The main difference between the two inquiries, the Scottish inquiry, I believe that there is an actual real need and a want to glean the information from that, see what mistakes were made and all the rest of it, so that we hit the situation, we've maybe better armed to deal with it, right?
Yep.
Down in England, what they're doing is they're protecting their own fucking arses, and that's all there is about it. And you can see everybody that comes up there, it's a case of blooming putting a boot down their blooming trousers. Simple as that.
Well, it's actually, to be honest with you, I watched that down the road. We're going to cover it a bit further on, I think, aren't we? UK COVID inquiry, we're going to cover it. What the First Minister said, the previous First Minister said, was very important there, David. What she said was, we didn't run the COVID crisis on WhatsApp here in Scotland. Believe it or not, we use different procedures to Westminster. Some people can't get their fucking head wrapped around that.
No, but people in England that I talked to were telling me they were watching for Nicola Sturgeon coming on each day, because they could understand the advice that was being given. Whereas when they went on and saw Bojo and these two idiots stood beside him, they were blooming. They were changing channel every blooming 2 minutes to actually get the situation. Oh, what's Boris saying? Oh, that's crap, right? Okay, Nicola.
Mark's absolutely right. It's the press and opposition's attempt to smear Scottish politicians and Scottish politics with the same shite that we see for the Tories down the road. Believe it or not, folks, I actually went and had a look at how they deal with communications and the standing orders along there in the Scottish Parliament when this argument started. That's why I can tell you in February 2021 the procedures changed. Whereas the 30 days before to get it onto the official records, it changed in February 2021 because with a couple of high profile public bodies that had been hacked, like SEPA.
Yeah.
And it was changed to get them onto official records within 30 days and then delete your messages. Anybody can go and look it up. That's what it says. Under digital communications. And by the way, the policy is not set by the governing party. It's set by the governing body that runs Holyrood Parliament. Simple as that. And that's made up of, I think it was originally 2 SNP, but I think they give one of the seats to the Greens. So you get SNP, Green, Labour, Tory, and a Lib Dem and the management committee.
Now you know that I like to keep an eye on trends and things like that. Okay, a trend that I noticed, which I might, I hope you take this on board, is that if down in England they see something where Scotland's operating better than England is, either government or whatever, right? Okay. What they do is they try and look for things where they can actually bring Scotland down to the level of England in the way that they're doing, the way that they're voicing their opinions on what Scotland's doing. We had that with do you remember they were putting shite into all the rivers?
I didn't try to claim we were doing the same up here.
They tried to claim that the same was happening up in Scotland, which is absolute shite. Okay.
No, what we do is we get the odd fucking problem because of the rain and the drains not being able to hold it.
Yes. But down in England, it was an actual policy by the companies involved. They couldn't process it, so they just blew and put it into the outflows. That was it.
As I say, but what we're seeing here is a witch hunt. Now, as I say, I'm meant to dig that journal out, David, but as you know, there's 52 of them.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of going through to try and find the day in which she made that statement to Glenn Campbell at the BBC. Even though the white doing the road, we're doing it through official channels, we're not doing it on WhatsApp.
Yeah.
You know, but I can assure you it was said. In fact, you probably remember it, David.
Yeah.
I just can't mind the date after the top of my head or roughly the month, or else I'd go and dig that journal out. You know.
Well,
let's carry on about WhatsApp's all pie in the sky, pish, folks. You know, it's to take your mind off what's going on down that road, as was discovered in horror that actually they had no fucking plans whatsoever. It's a bit like I said to you last time about the COVID tests and the inquiry here in Scotland's getting to the point where we're going to be asking about putting people into all folks' homes without testing them. I can assure you folks, and you can go and look this up, in February and March, early March 2020, the cuckoos in the nest were screaming. That was, at the time it was Car Crash, Bouncy Boy, and Wee Willie Irrelevant, right?
That was
screaming,
Tory, Labour and Lib Dem. Yes, okay, right, let's get it right.
By the way, Patrick Harvey for Greens was doing the same and all. Yeah. They were telling the Scottish government to clear the bed bomb, clear the bed bomb, clear the bed bomb, right? But here's the kicker. They're talking about why did they transfer patients without testing? There wasn't any fucking tests, that's why. Because the policy at the time was herd immunity. Yeah. And that's why we locked down so late. And the reason why there was no tests, well, the health secretary at the time made a statement saying there was no reagents to make these tests. And the chemical industry stood up and went, fuck are you talking? We spoke to you the other day, you never asked about reagents. You never asked about producing tests. So I can assure you, the press here and the cuckoos in the nest are hoping that we all have short memories. Some people have short memories. I'm a wee bit wiser than that. I write it down.
Yeah, David, regardless of all that, supposing they bring out the smoking gun, right? And they write the report on the inquiry down in England, right?
Yep.
And it says all sorts of dreadful things. Did we get any result from the Chilcot inquiry?
Well, we'll get to that when we get to the COVID inquiry part of the show.
Yeah, what I'm trying to say is, do you think there's going to be any good outcome from the COVID inquiry? Do you think anybody will go to jail?
We know they're not going to go to jail, David. We've seen the COVID bills when they were being written. Line 1, paragraph 1, ministers will not be held responsible for decisions that are made in an unknown situation and because of the unknown nature of the crisis.
Mm-hmm. So therefore,
The last pandemic was as bad as 100 years ago.
So therefore, we're watching all this shite on TV.
Yep.
It's not going to achieve anything.
To say, you know yourself, the COVID
I know what the rules are, right?
Right.
But what I'm trying to get across to people is that we're watching all this shite on TV, and all it's doing is getting our blood pressure up, and it's not going to end up where somebody's going to end up in jail.
No, everybody's sitting here watching these inquiries hoping somebody's going to get their head in the chopping block. Ain't happening. I mean, Matt Hancock asking for immunity before he gave testimony. It's obvious he didn't read the fucking COVID legislation. Wow.
Yeah.
Imagine him knowing that he already had immunity to prosecution for everything that happened during the pandemic. Imagine him not knowing that.
Yeah.
And approaching the inquiry and telling them, I'm not going to testify unless you give me immunity for prosecution. Somebody I hadn't had to chap him, they shouldn't say, you already had that, you spanner. The inquiry is not to get people sitting in the chalk boxes to learn lessons. What they got right and what they got wrong. And as Miss Sturgeon in that very video we just played said, she didn't get it all right. She did her best. Which is a damn sight better than what the Muppets down the road did.
Yeah,
as we've heard. But as I say, we'll get there to what we heard. We get to the COVID inquiry.
I was going to say, I've got pals down in England, right? And they were watching what Nicola was saying in order to get proper advice.
That's right, I know that.
You know,
right, let's move on to the WhatsApp stooshy, which is no a stooshy at all. It's a made up fucking stooshy. Well, Maester of right up the SNP Provost of Aberdeen reported to the Scottish Standards Commissioner, David Cameron, was reported to the Commissioner by Jennifer Stewart, an independent councillor, who was his deputy provost, right? Now she taken over for Alan Donnelly, who had to step down as deputy provost, still a councillor, but stand down as deputy provost because he'd been charged for sexual assault. It was a conservative. He was a conservative councillor charged for sexual assault. He stood down. This Jennifer Stewart took his place in 2019, and she says that over the last 18 months, the provost has bullied her mercilessly. Has stopped her from debating in open chamber, or he has suppressed debate in the open chamber and acted as a misogynist. You know, so he's been a naughty boy apparently. Mr. Cameron denies all the allegations and said he can't give any further comment because this has now been handed to the Ethics Commissioner.
Okay.
So we've got another stooshy. What was interesting was that when Mr. Alan Donnelly was charged with sexual assault, the party wasn't named.
Yeah. That does tend to be the case, except where it's an SNP person. And then the SNP is brought out right for that this person is an SNP councillor or MP or MS.
The one exception to the rule that we've seen on that one here in Scotland was when David Graham, I think it is, in Fife, for sexually molesting young ladies or underage sex. We did get his party when it was when the allegations came.
If somebody's guilty of blooming whatever, right, sexual abuse, then as far as I'm concerned, throw them to the dogs. Throw them to the dogs. I've got no wish to defend anybody in that. At least it's under investigation, and we'll find out what happens. Right?
But the point is, I just wanted to say it's doing the rounds. It's another SNP bad story, so it's prevalent in the press.
Yeah, it's just to keep this SNP bad thing in the back of people's minds all the time, so that when they eventually get to the general election, they're going to go, oh, haven't we heard a lot of bad things about the SNP? Oh, well,
yes.
Yeah. What we'll do is we'll vote fucking Tory so they can do it to us again. Because we can't vote Labour because, well, Labour, they're not really Scottish Labour anymore. They're English Labour with the word Scottish in the front. So, anyway.
And there people are waking up to that, but that's the real reason why people are not going to stay vote Labour at the moment, although, as we know, people have got short memories.
Yeah.
At this point in time, people are leaving the Labour Party in droves because of what's going on between Israel and Gaza, but we'll get to that and all.
Yeah. Well, when yesterday I put up all of the Labour files from Al Jazeera. They're on my timeline, guys. I also share them through lots of different groups. Get them watched, get a cup of coffee and get them watched, because once you're armed with that, once you've got the information from that, which is, it's corroborated, we know this is what happened, then you are armed for talking to anybody reference Labour and the fact that if you vote Labour, you might as well be voting for Netanyahu, right? Okay.
Right, the next one's a bit of one. This one puzzles you and me a wee bit, David. And that is there's going to be more school disruption as Unison holds more strike action. And it's going to affect 5 council areas starting on the 15th of November. And that will be Dundee City, Stirling, Clackmannanshire, Angus, and Perth and Kinross. Now, the strike action's been taken by the trade union Unison. Now, we know the GMB and Unite accepted the pay offer. Unison has not accepted the pay offer, but we don't know what Unison's playing at because their members want to accept it.
Yeah, I did say the other day that I watched a bit of the committee on the National Care Service. It's going ahead. And the body that was very, very much against the whole thing and putting the hurdles up was Unison. And I don't understand where they're going with this. Thank you so much, Alan. Thank you. That's wonderful. £2.
Thanks, Alexis.
Yeah.
Now, there was one that was a.
So if anybody knows or understands what Unison are up to, can you please get in contact with us? Because
we certainly can't get it because the other two trade unions are settled. There is no way that Unison is going to get a better deal for their members.
Yeah.
So basically what they're doing is they're pulling their members out in strike and they're middle of a cost of living crisis and they're losing days' wages.
The people at the moment, they cannot afford to be losing days' wages here and there. And the last time it happened, it was at 5 days. It was 3 days. 3 days was it, right? And that's a chunk of a week's wages they've lost. Enough.
A chunk of a week's wages in the middle of a cost of living crisis.
Yeah.
I don't know what Unison's playing it here because there's absolutely no way they're getting any more than the other two unions go.
Yeah. At least what you do is you end up with an offer like that on the table. You take it to the membership and you actually put it in front of them and say, "What do you want, guys?"
But that's not what what normally happens with trade unions is they'll put it in front of the members and they'll either recommend they take it or tell them not to take it. In this case, it would appear that Unison have told the members not to take it.
But a recommendation only goes so far when your members are blooming skint.
Aye, but that's the whole point. And it's been made quite clear in the comments here, Unison's tight association with the Labour Party.
Yeah.
And apparently the leader here in Scotland is Starmerite, according to the comments. I don't know the truth of that, David. I really don't know the truth of that. But what I do know is this carry on with Unison makes no sense. And all it's doing is putting his members into destitution.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. I know, so, I've got to look. We're in the run-up. My daughter goes through her hires or whatever they're called this week, right? In December. And if the schools are going to be going off and on and off and on, she's going to lose her life chances, same as they always do when they shut the schools, right? So in these schools in Clackmannanshire, Stirlingshire, wherever, they're in the same situation. That's ridiculous.
Thanks, brother.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now, they say we don't get what Unison's up to here. What we do know is that their members are going to be suffering, and we're already, and they're not exactly what we call the high-paid members of staff. We're talking teachers like here, we're talking about classroom assistants, we're talking about cleaners, we're talking about janitors.
Yeah.
On the lower end of the pay scale. And they're losing days at a time for these strike actions.
Yeah.
Didn't make any sense.
Neil McLean sat behind you, Davey. Neil McLean is sat on the naughty step. Have a turn round, you'll see him sitting there. Seriously. He's right behind you.
Well, at least he didn't burn his arse in a bloody candle. Hi Neil, welcome aboard. You're late. Stay to the naughty step. Anyway, let's move on. Four women for Scotland lose appeal against legal definition of women on public bodies. Now, this is a long-running case, and it has to do with transgender women on public bodies. In Scotland, we have a policy where boards of public bodies have to have a 50-50 split on gender. Now, this Four Women for Scotland didn't want transgender women to count, and that count on boards.
Hang on, David. Thanks, Stuart. Thank you very much. Stuart Laird, £5. Thank you.
Thank you. So, it's just come up. Because I'm getting so many comments for both Facebook and it takes a little longer for me to see it. Thanks, Stuart. Sure. Anyway, they appealed. What happened was the Scottish Government wanted a 50-50 split on boards. And this Four Women for Scotland pointed out that transgender women shouldn't count on the 50-50 split for boards. So they took the Scottish Government to court, and the court gave a ruling, and the ruling was that if they've got a gender, if they get a gender change, what they call the certificate, gender recognition certificate.
Yeah.
If they've got a gender recognition certificate to say that they are transgender or female, then that counts towards the women's count on the boards. Four Women for Scotland didn't like it, so they appealed it to the courts. The court have just ruled against them.
Well,
if they have a gender recognition certificate, they count on the female side of the count.
Well, I've got to make a small point that at the moment, gender recognition policy isn't there. We don't have it, right? But
we do for public bodies.
But the problem is that, like you and myself, we look at any situation where somebody's being employed, where you're bringing several individuals in to interview them and try them out for a job, right? Now, in business, what you do is you get the best person in for the job. If that's male, fine. If it's female, fine. That shouldn't exactly. Shouldn't make any difference to you. It's the best person for the job. I do not like the situation where you have quotas, where half have to be male and half have to be female.
I agree with you, David. I think it's stupid. But you and I have, as you say, we've been in business.
Yeah.
And when you're in business, you want the best person for the job to do the job.
And nowadays, you've got as good female side as you have in the male side. In fact, in actual fact, the women often are much better and create much better stability in a company.
That's right, man. Let's swap that round. Late again. Hi, everyone. Hi, Lynn. Go join your mucker on the naughty step. So, as I say, I never quite got this argument. As you know, David, it's not something that I've ever spent much time thinking of. I just see a person as a person. I don't take sexuality, sexual orientation, or gender, anything like that into consideration. You're either an arsehole or you're a good guy.
There was a lady called Jane at one of the marches, right? Where we actually met up at the side of the art galleries, right? And I got talking to Jane, and I said, "Look, do you want to? You're on your own. Do you want to come and spend time with me and my family? Just and you can walk with us." And that was it. And halfway through, we were looking for the League of Very Sovereign Scottish banner with the two poles. And my wife said, "You fancy taking a shot?" He said, "I don't do things like that." Anyway,
thanks, Christina.
Yeah, thanks, Christina.
Thank you very much. And we've got jumping in the air and joyfully saying yippee. Well, we'll jump in the air and say yippee for that kind donation.
Yes.
So it would appear that a transgender woman with a gender recognition certificate won't count on the women's count side. So you and I don't agree with the idea of having a 50-50 split on any board. It should always be the best person for the job.
If you could identify where somebody was interviewing for particular jobs, and that person always brought men in, you'd go, "Oi, come here, you! I have a blooming talk to you," right? And that's it.
Well, the other two in the naughty step. Don't burn your arse in the candle.
Yeah.
So then, and this is all linked into the GRR bill. As we know, it took years to write that up, and this is all stuff that's come up in the meantime as it's been put together.
Yeah.
Right, let's move on to the Labour Party.
Oh.
Well, the Labour are in turmoil, and it's getting worse for them. Our Israel-Palestine situation deepens. Now, as we know, Sarwar, because of the pressure of his community, has had to take a different stance now for Keir Starmer. Sarwar is now calling on for a ceasefire. The new MP, who's decided to ignore Sarwar and go with Starmer's stance, that's a new MP for Hamilton West.
Shanks.
Shanks.
Make the crappers.
Shanks makes the toilets, right? Well, anyway, he's come out against that. He's come out on Starmer's side of the argument. So there's splits here as well. But as we know, there's trouble down the road. And Mr. Starmer, anybody that's seen the video I made on it, I put up yesterday a video on Starmer's Chatham House speech.
It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. It was ridiculous.
Where he tried to justify what he had to say.
Yeah. Thanks, Davey. $4.99. It's time we get out of this shit show of a union. Time for Al Tat. Want Indy to swallow their pride and everyone to vote for SNP is the only way out. Well, Davey and I certainly support you in that.
Aye, but anyway, Starmer gives a speech, and he gets to the point where, in his Chatham House speech, where he's talking about justifying his position. And the way of justifying his position said they had the bombing off of Gaza's infrastructure. They've left too much if they stopped fighting, if they stopped bombing Gaza, they knew there'd be too much infrastructure left, and the infrastructure left would allow Hamas to do it again. And so he prefers the ideas of humanitarian pauses. Now, this guy's one sick puppy. A humanitarian pause, let me explain that to people who might not understand this. You're pummeling the shit out of people, and you say, let's give them 5 minutes to get a drink and something to eat. You give them 5 minutes to get a drink and something to eat, dress their wounds, and then the pause ends, and you pummel the shite out of them again. So basically, your pause is a mental torture to these people. Because they know the minute they're being fed, watered, and got some medicines, and got patched up, they're going to be put back out for bombing.
Yeah.
This is Starmer's idea of humanitarian aid, is it? Rather than this ceasefire, he wants to pummel the shit out of Gaza, stop for a wee bit, maybe 24 hours, to let some aid in, so that some of them can get fed, some of them can get watered, some of them can get medicine. And then 24 hours later, pummel the shit out of the poor buggers again. I mean, this guy's supposed to be a human rights lawyer. So, Starmer's not helping himself here. Sarwar, because of pressure for his community, has had to change his stance. And it's a mess. This could see Labour losing an election. Starmer's trying his best to lose this election, actually. But you get right, don't you, David? You and I were talking about this. And that is Starmer looking at this a year for the election? Starmer might be looking at this and saying, I don't fucking want this. He's inheriting a shit show and a half. And he knows he's not going to be able to fix these problems. You know?
I think.
And then with David Lammy, tried to say it was all right to bomb the Jahala refugee centre.
Yeah. Why would he say that?
He says it could be legal. It could be illegally justified.
But
Bombing a refugee centre.
the thing is, though, why did he say that? He was pressed to answer by the person that was interviewing him, and he had to answer in the affirmative, because to do otherwise would have seen him getting the boot from the Labour.
Because Labour Party policy knew that you can't criticise the Israeli government
because it's taken to be anti-Semitic. And
David, would you like to explain to people what anti-Semitic actually is?
Certainly can. Can I maybe just read this?
Aye, indulge us a little, David, please.
I did a wee blog this morning called One Species. It's on my timeline if you're interested. There is no racism. There is no anti-Semitism because there's only one race, the human race. How you label yourself is your choice, but under the skin that might have a lighter or darker tones, it's basically all the same. How entitled can one particular section of the human population get that they coined a special word applied to folk that criticise them? I don't generalise on those who practice the Jewish faith. No, I talk of those who use that trick to prevent criticism and disgust of their awful actions against the Palestinians. People use racist when in actual fact the correct word is xenophobia. Being xenophobic, that's a fear or dislike of other. Tribalism still exists. Humans are tribal in nature. If you don't believe that, then go to a bloody football match. Once upon a time, we lived in tribal villages for security. At that time, a stranger was either going to attack you or infect you with disease, or worse. That's buried deep in our DNA, and thankfully, we all have an upper mind to control it if we want. Many don't. Certain governments use this throwback in our DNA to make populations behave in a particular way. Fear. However, they know that. The problem nowadays is that more and more people are getting wise to it. Social media has helped, believe me on that one. So let's put some common sense on the table, will we? Let's start with the word of the day. Anti-Semitic. It starts with the word anti. And if we remove that, then we can search for the word Semitic. Here is what it says. Semitic. 1. Relating to or denoting a family of languages that includes Hebrew, Arabic, Aramaic, and certain ancient languages such as Phoenician and Akkadian, constituting the main subgroup of the Afro-Asiatic family. 2. Relating to the peoples who speak Semitic languages, especially Hebrew and Arabic. Who do you think that is? Therefore, if we allow this idiocy to continue, anti-Semitic would be something that was against those who speak the languages shown above, including Hebrew and Arabic. I hope you see the point. The Israeli government have taken that made-up word and applied it to anyone that criticised the action of just the Israelis, or more pointedly, the government or army. That trick has worked for the Israeli government for many decades. For some reason, we swallowed it hook, line and sinker. Netanyahu may be a monster, but he's not the first monster. The Palestinian people have been under oppression for a long, long time. The Israeli government are an apartheid regime, and anyone that is identified as Palestinian are treated as a fourth-class thing, not even a human being. At this time, when the correct use of correct words matters, don't be misled into thinking that a criticism of the Israeli government or military somehow gets you a label that, let's face it, makes no sense. There's nothing wrong with the Jewish people. There are good and bad in all walks of life, and also don't forget they might be getting the wool pulled over their eyes as well. Fear's a great driver, as I've always said. What were you said?
Right, well said. No, well, apparently you said you were boring silly and right enough, but the rest of you were interested about what Semitic actually means.
Yeah.
So it relates to Middle Eastern languages as opposed to the Israeli people.
Just that area where the language are spoken. So that's Semitic. Okay.
So the languages of Arabic and Hebrew or Semitic languages.
Yeah, and Arabic. Yeah.
Right,
So,
Arthur, thanks very much for that super chat. Funds if you want an independent funds. If you want an independent Scotland, vote SNP in the next election. A split vote will not work. It's not so much a split vote. They don't recognise any other party but the SNP. David and I were talking about this yesterday. Yeah. And the other thing is, split movements don't win their causes. Simple as that. History tells us that. Now, as I say, but Labour's got themselves into a right mess over this one.
Yeah.
There are 3 million Muslim people in the UK.
Yeah.
Right?
They're definitely going to be against Labour, right? But the thing is, though, there might be 3 million Muslim people, but I tell you what, I'm a Christian, I'm with them.
So, I'm going to quote Anna Starmer, poverty pie here. Yep. He says, Starmer stances in the front. It doesn't just hurt Muslim people. It hurts all peace-loving people. Yep. I don't often agree with poverty pie, but I agree with him on that one.
Yeah.
You know. Right, shall we move on?
We'll move on.
The UK COVID inquiry.
Oh, for goodness sake.
It's been enlightening so far, hasn't it?
Yeah.
What have we discovered from it so far? We've discovered that the UK government muddied the waters here in Scotland because of Nicola Sturgeon's star performance. Yeah. They bought up advertising space in Scottish papers to run the English COVID instructions to the Scottish people.
Yeah.
So, as we know, the BBC, because of the way the news is played here in Scotland, the UK-wide news is played at 6 o'clock, and Scottish news is played at 6:30. So you had the UK COVID instructions at 6, and if you stayed on long enough, you would get the Scottish instructions at 6:30. But most people tuned into the First Minister's Lives at 12 o'clock, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But what we've also learned since then was that there was no plan down that road whatsoever.
Yeah. Yeah. I knew that the number 10 Downing Street was a bit hear 'em scare 'em, right? I need to get rid of that. I knew it was a bit hear 'em scare 'em, but I really didn't realise it was quite as bad as we're seeing from the evidence that's being given. It really is bad.
Aye, some of the thanks, Dexter. Some of the some of the WhatsApp messages have been hilarious.
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely hilarious. But the WhatsApp message that revealed that Boris Johnson thought that COVID was just nature's way of dealing with old people, and that they should just let it rip, let the old die and the young go on with their lives. What was interesting about that is it's quite a cavalier position for Bojo to take when all the old people are his voter base.
Exactly. The membership of the Tory party are up there. You know,
another one that cracked me up at all. Bojo apparently was doing a Trump. Right, man. It's because they're moving so bloody fast. Johnson had a plan, a hairdryer. He asked his scientific advisors if a hairdryer would work. Just run about with a battery operated hairdryer in front of you. Go on, hot air to kill the COVID.
No, but Trump was just as logical. He was actually telling us to use bleach, wasn't he?
Aye, let's just bleach, why don't we?
Yeah.
Talk about population control. There'll be a lot of villages minus there's fucking idiots a day. But no, some of the stuff that's come out is absolutely horrible.
I can just imagine in the redneck states in America, get my gun, Myrtle. Oh, and bring that bleach, will you?
Yeah. Well, that's not stereotype, David. That's beneath. That is beneath us. But so some of the stuff that's come out is quite. It all makes sense now, David. As you know, I've got every day in a pandemic through there.
I did like the line of questioning that Dominic Cummings was being put through when it got to the Barnard Castle incident.
Oh, aye, he wasn't chuffed, was he? You can see the egotistical.
Why did you have your family in the car when you just wanted to check your eyes were working?
And why drive 25 miles? Why didn't you just get a book out?
Exactly. Yeah. Yep.
Like a newspaper up, can you see it, son? No, well, don't drive.
Lynn Hughes, thank you very much, sir. £5.
It also came out today that Matt Hancock didn't want the medical professionals making the decisions on who lived and died. He wanted to date himself.
Aye.
Well, that's a dirty little bastard.
That's a bit scary. That's a wee bit odd. It's a wee bit creepy, isn't it?
Aye, you're right, isn't it?
Aye.
It's as creepy as... thanks, Lenny. Yeah. It says... it's as creepy as humping your secretary or your aide in your office, you know what I mean?
No, it wasn't in the office. It was in the stationery cupboard.
Well, that's normal.
But seemingly
there's a photocopier in there.
Aye, they kept. Shh! No, don't go there. Right, okay. But seemingly there's a camera on the stationery cupboard.
Aye, well, that's what you can't trust people in the stationery cupboard then because there was CCTV in there, got them. Oh, Jesus. But I get this. Hancock wanted to decide who lived and died. I guess he did by being the health secretary.
Yeah.
You know, after all, everything they decided today was fucking stupid. Well. So, I mean, it has been quite horrifying, David, isn't it?
You know, if we end up in a situation where, if it was possible to actually send people to court and get them to answer and for the things to actually come out and the gross negligence and that for gross negligence in public service, that is actually a criminal offence. You can be locked up for it, right? But it's not going to happen because we keep running these things called inquiries. And inquiries are a steam release valve for the population. The population see the inquiry running. They see a report coming out and it says about all sorts about this one and that one and that one. Nobody goes to court. Nobody gets locked up.
Nah, as I say, we've seen that with Chalco. We're going to see that with this one. But that's an interesting one for Mark because this actually reminds me of this, Mark. You're absolutely right. Hancock was pumping out test kits to hit targets, and they were hitting the bin on the way back. So basically, you know, they weren't being analysed. There was a reason for that because of the labs. They didn't give them up to the NHS labs. They invented fucking private labs.
Aye, yes.
Private labs. The lighthouse labs they were called.
Yeah. Why do you think that is? Was it because they thought, well, we need to keep the NHS labs for dealing with stuff with hospitals? Or do you think it was because, well, if we invent these labs, we get all these wee lads and lasses for universities to come and take part in these lighthouse labs, it allows us to make money from that? Was that what it was? I don't know.
It allowed to make money for it. It allowed the private industry to make money for it. Simple as that. The NHS had the capacity.
Yeah. So there you go.
NHS labs had the capacity.
You know.
In fact, the equipment that ended up in these lighthouse labs came from NHS facilities.
I believe that we've come to a situation in the UK, right, if you consider the UK House of Commons, right, where in actual fact there has been so much wrongdoing by the Tory party that it would be sensible to get all the other parties involved together to provide a government for the people of the United Kingdom and get rid of the people from the Tory party. Toss them, get them out the door. You know, there's just that much bad is going on while they've been in charge. And I thought it's a government of, what's it called? What's the wording I'm looking for? Government of, where they bring all the parties together to actually run the government.
Oh, government of national unity.
That's the one. Yeah. You know, we shouldn't be having a situation where the Tories are allowed to continue beyond this. It should be that the other parties come in and go, look, guys, you've had your chance. There's the door. We'll get the police in if you don't leave, and it's like we'll run the parliament.
Right, well, actually, but this idea of government and actually, you need to stick up their arse. I don't want nothing to do with them.
I know, David, but at the same time, it's like what I'm saying is, looking at it logically, the Tories should have nothing further to do with government.
Well, they need to change their phone system to PR down that road.
Yeah.
You know. Well, let's move on because time's short and we want to get to the Gaza.
Yep.
1 in 10 councils in England apparently are on the brink of going bust, David.
I'm not surprised.
You know, I wonder how close they are here in Scotland. I haven't heard anybody saying a council in Scotland is near to going bust.
We're certainly hearing from the councils in England, and there's many of them that are going. We can't afford to give basic services to people, and if you just look at it, the whole thing is up in the air. The water authorities, the councils, just keep on going through stuff. It's all falling.
It's all crumbling. Their schools are falling down. Their hospitals are falling down.
And here's the thing.
The rivers are full of shite.
Tories were saying to our councils, don't worry about getting money off the Scottish Government. We'll give you money. They won't give their own councils fucking money. Simple as that.
But, I mean, it's mental. You're absolutely right. I mean, the water companies are pumping shit into the waterways and they're wanting to charge English people 95 billion to upgrade the infrastructure that they haven't upgraded and they're funded anyway.
Yeah.
Then you've got the councils 1 in 10 going about to go bust. You've got the schools falling down, the hospitals falling down, no public services, no social care system.
Yep.
That's a fucking disaster.
Yep.
Scottish people wouldn't let the Scottish government away with that shit. Why are the English people letting the English government away with this pish?
Yeah.
I'll tell you why, because the English people don't have a government. And that's why the Tories and Labour consistently get away with the pish they pull.
Yeah. I can only agree with you. I find it dreadful because
What is it?
People in England are not bad people. They're good people, right?
Okay. They make bad choices.
They make bad choices in terms of...
I begin to understand why the Labour Party used to say that Scotland was the fire brigade to put out the pish every time fucking London went up in flames.
Yeah.
You know, the Labour Party used to say the Scottish MPs were the sense in the party.
Yeah. You
can see why their party's a fucking mess now. We don't vote for the Muppets.
Yeah.
And let's no start voting for the Muppets. Right, let's move on. Bank of England holds interest rates at 5.25%. What do you think?
Well, they didn't drop, right?
No.
And as we've both discussed, they're like in a holding pattern because inflation hasn't gone down and it hasn't gone up, right?
Yep.
Really, that's making no difference. At the moment, I've got a relative who's he set up a company to actually go and buy flats to rent out, okay? And he can't really move very, very fast because the housing market is up in the air. But the reason he's doing that is because, well, if he buys a flat at 100,000 this week, it might be 60,000 next week, so he might as well wait. You know what I mean?
Aye, and the other thing we've got to take in mind is we already spoke about this. The effect of the interest rate at the height hasn't kicked in yet.
Yeah.
We spoke about the expert, the economist of the Bank of England, telling us that only 25% of the effects of the high interest rates are fed through yet.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
So they can't really afford to go any higher because people are already on the skids.
Yeah.
All that money that they actually accumulated sitting in their houses during COVID. Because they couldn't go anywhere, so furlough money, it was enough to cover what they needed, plus put a wee bit to the side. And a lot of companies made up the 20%, the furlough money was 80%, a lot of companies made up the 20% to retain their employees.
David, would you mind if I just respond to something that Millie Jameson's put up? Can you manage to put it at the bottom of the screen there? Rents
I've got to your screen, it's never near the bottom of my screen.
It's alright, it's okay.
Who was that?
It's Millie Jameson. Millie Jameson.
Really?
Rents are far too high. Disgusting, actually. Quite right. I totally agree with you. But do you know who it is that sets the rents? Do you know who it is? Now, if any of you ever watched that program where what they're doing is they sell off houses that people, they're done by auction, where people have ended up in trouble with their mortgages and eventually they're just getting rid of them, right? Okay. The rents are set, if you've watched that program, by the estate agent. The estate agent comes around and says, I reckon you'll get £525 per calendar month for that if it was done up, right? That's the people that do it. Their recommendation is taken all the time.
Well, that's why we've got rent controls coming in here to take it out of the hands of the estate agents and put it in the hands of the local authorities.
I'm not saying the estate agents are wrong. What they are doing is they're working on behalf of their client. They're not working on behalf of people that have got no choice but to rent a property, right?
Aye.
But at the same time, the rents are far too high, and believe it or not, that London is skyrocketing. I mean, absolutely away into space, right? But so is Edinburgh. Edinburgh is the rental market in Edinburgh is blooming off.
Millie must be in Edinburgh. She's talking about for a 2-bedroom below her is £1,000 a month to rent. Wow.
I know. That's just
from my flat.
Unbelievable. Seriously.
Right, anyway, thank you about the interest rates. So that's a wee bit of respite for some people.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Death toll in Gaza now officially over 9,000. They've managed to identify 9,000 dead. There's another couple of thousand that they can't identify yet. And God knows how many they have to find under the rubble.
It's getting to the point where, I'll be honest with you, I'm finding it difficult to continue watching. And I'm continuing to watch because I feel that there is a fiduciary responsibility on people like you and me and people that watch us to get the information out and make our government, the UK government, say, look, this needs a ceasefire. And never mind that the right to defend yourselves. That's not defending yourself when you're in blooming killing people that are locked in the biggest open air prison in the blooming world.
That brings us to something interesting that the UN ambassador for Russia had to say. We'll get to that. Hi Elizabeth, I see you're at your winter home in Gran Canaria. Is it that time of year again, is it? Well, we're into November now, Right, anyway, the Russian ambassador to the UN just pointed something very important out. The UK and the US have been shouting about Israel's right to self-defence, or to defend itself. But here's the thing. In this situation, Israel's actually the aggressor because they're the occupier.
That's right.
So that rule didn't apply.
The moment you're an occupier, you have to take care of those people in the areas that you are occupying. Yeah.
Well, colonisation trying anyway, but aye.
Yeah.
But in this case, Israel is the aggressor, they're the occupier.
Yeah.
So it isn't self-defence. It's retribution for people in that prison striking out and not having any rights.
I watched something last night that absolutely left me aghast. Right? It was a black sky. The person that was the press reporter was pointing at a point of light that was moving over the black sky. They said, that in the distance, that's Gaza. The white light that you see, that's a missile travelling from the north of Gaza down in the mid part of Gaza, right? And it came down and it blew up a building or wherever it did. You can only see it at the distance. you could hear people cheering in the background. The camera turned round, and there was all the Israeli settlers sat there with their deck chairs and their glass of wine or whatever, and they're all cheering the Israeli bombs going into Gaza. Yes, there are monsters in the world. I'm not going to say that everybody there is a monster. However, that disgusted me.
Aye, they're monsters in the world. Keir Starmer and you get Rishi Sunak and you get Suella Braverman.
Yeah.
And what's really, really interesting about what we're seeing in the media here is, I've been watching the opinions of the Jewish community here in the UK.
Yeah.
And they're no chuffed with the actions being taken by the Israeli government either. But they're not being invited onto the press to have their go at the Israeli government.
Yeah. You know, I've known Jewish people in my life. People up the air. My teenage years I spent up the air road, Newton Mearns, all that sort of thing, right? And up there, there is a Jewish community, all the rest of it, right? Fine, they're good people. You know, and so therefore, the Jews in Scotland and all the rest of it, there's good and bad in them. Same as there's any other walk of life. There's good and bad in all walks of life, right? However,
and in all religions and non-religious people and all the rest here.
Right.
No, the reason why I don't really know, I had to go looking for the opinions of the Jewish people is because I don't know any. You know why? I've never asked anybody in religion in my fucking life.
Correct.
You're either a good guy or a wank.
Yep.
You know, you know me, David, how much black and white as you get when it comes to that? It took us, you and me, about 5 years to go on to the subject of religion. I mean, it wasn't something that was ever it was never going to be asked. But as I say, I had to go and look and see what the communities are saying. And the communities are just horrified.
Most important thing, we have two pals, right?
Ah,
We have two pals. Have I ever rammed my religion down your throat?
No.
Right, there you go.
See, it was a conversation that came up once upon a time and it was put back in the throat.
Yeah.
There's very little, but that's why I'm always saying that to explain it's why I had to go actually looking for the thoughts of the Jewish community. And to be fair, they're no chuffed.
Yeah.
Huge swathes of them are not pleased with and this is the thing that's going to be distinguished. The Jewish people are not the Jewish government.
Yeah. That's right.
The Jewish people are not all Israel. They're all over the world.
Yeah.
And Israel isn't all the Jewish people. And then we'll get to the Jewish people in Israel. The Jewish people in Israel are not all want to see the Palestinian people wiped too.
I fully believe that they are getting the wool pulled over their eyes more than anybody else because the Israeli government need to keep them on side because it's their kids, it's their wains that have put on IDF uniforms and given a gun, right, okay, Gaza's that direction. You know,
I was watching a clip of an IDF colonel, and he was a Scottish Jew.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. But
obviously, yeah.
Yeah. But as I say, the Israeli government know the Jewish people.
Right.
And Israel isn't the Jewish people. The Jewish people have got probably the biggest diaspora of us all. Because they were widely disseminated across the world.
Anyway, right, so...
Well, they weren't the biggest diaspora of them all if it hadn't been for the Nazis.
The thing that happened overnight is that the Israelis have struck the Jabali refugee camp.
Aye.
200 dead. You know, that is the war crime. That's identifiable war crime, and that's all there is about it, right? What were you going to say about this chap Wang Yi, who's the
Chinese his top diplomat, he's an American and now trying to convince the Americans to get to a ceasefire here.
They won't do it, but yeah. In actual fact, I've got to say, looking at the Chinese, they seem to be the adults in the room.
Them in Turkey right now seem to be the adults in the room, yes.
Yeah, so, wow.
And I have to say, the Russians have been pretty grown up about this, and all they're restraining the Iranians while trying to put pressure on the Israelis to chuck it.
Yeah, well, the Russians have got good leverage with the Iranians, and the Russians maybe realise if the Iranians go in, then that's it. It does turn into it's not a war. A war, yeah, global war. Yeah.
You know, so it's still horrifying, but we have to keep an eye on it. Yeah, we have to keep the pressure on the politicians, especially people like Starmer and Sunak.
I'm going to keep on saying this. The Americans have got proxy power that they project by setting up a guard dog to go at their enemies. We had Ukraine. We've got the Americans have been feeding them with arms and all the rest of it to hit the Russians as hard as they can. It means the Americans don't have to put boots on the ground, right? Same with Israel. Israel have been feeding them weapons for years, right? And at the end of the day, it's like that just becomes a dog, a watchdog that they can leave. Putting a flotilla and a lot of American boots on the ground costs a massive amount of money. They've been getting away with sending 150 million or whatever, right? At the moment, Biden's just given 101 billion US dollars to both Ukraine and Israel.
No, he's sent a request for the gap.
No, it's been agreed.
Has it been agreed?
Yeah.
So that's another 105 billion going to be split between Israel and Ukraine to continue the war efforts.
Yeah. So there you go. It's cheaper than them putting their own boots on the ground. They can just allow them people to go ahead.
That also means that they'll get their own people up in arms because they're losing sons and daughters.
Yeah, yeah.
But as been pointed out by yourself, David, this is just American imperial reach.
Yeah, it is.
Biden saying this money would be a good investment for Americans and they would reap rewards for it for years and years. They will. Because they're not giving the Ukrainians it for nothing.
Well, I would like to see the end of the New World Order as it was under Bush.
Aye.
That needs to come to an end. You know.
Aye.
So, all right. Look,
we've
talked on enough. I really hope you've taken in some of the things that we've said. I would like to think that from this you maybe take away what anti-Semitism is actually all about. It's a nonsense. It's about a language. All the rest of it.
We're not tying Ukraine to Israel. We're just talking about American interests in both these situations. We're not tying. We know they're totally different situations.
Push proxy power. If you can't see that, you're fucking blind.
That's what's happening. The US has proxy power being projected into these areas. Of course it is. And it's generally for selfish reasons. And it's generally for natural resources.
The Chinese Silk Road starts in China, ends up in Syria. Who was bombing the hell out of the blooming port in Syria just the other day there? The Americans. They've got a flotilla at that end of the Mediterranean, so it was easy for them. They didn't even have to move. The missiles would go a few thousand miles.
Conflict strategies and things like that, or economic strategies which are leading to geo conflicts. That's for another time because I've got work to go to, David. Although I have to say, as a fascinating subject, you and I can rabble on about it all night. You know, I mean, the social, economic, and the social and economic effects of geopolitics, the markets, these and control of commodities. This is what this is all about. It's about resources.
It's a waste of a man's life.
Aye, you're no kidding.
Instead of doing that, instead of having to discuss what all these fucking monsters are doing, we can all have a really nice life. Yeah.
What do you think about it? The US have spent $8 trillion on war recently, right?
Yeah.
For the last 30 years. I mean, that would have done away with homelessness. It would have given them free medicines. The whole fucking lot. People are daft.
You could order a house, a car, all the rest of it. You know what I mean? It's like they could have gifted it to the whole world. You know.
Hey, right, his bucket says we've to round it up. He's going to make his supper.
Right. If you like what we do, give us a like, please. If you haven't subscribed to us, then please hit the subscribe button, and that helps us. It helps us in so many different ways. It also helps us when Google put a blooming advert onto these broadcasts, and because with the number of subscribers that we've got, that generates a wee bit more, a few more pennies. That's all it is, right? At the same time, if we can get more subscribers, it does beef it up, and it just goes to the food banks anyway, right? So, if you like what we did, then please share it about, because at the end of the day, it's like we're nothing without you guys, and we're nothing without this stuff getting shared about. All right, and you want to say, David?
Aye, indeed. There is something I want to say. Subscribe, share on your social media platforms if you like what we do. Okay, that was just one thing left today, Davey.
Bye, Davey. Bye, guys.